All right, Shalom. First off, all praises, admiration, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai Bahashim Rekahakodash, and double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. All right, first off, I want to say Shalom to the ones that push this word out in truth and in sincerity, which are the apostles and elders on down to the brothers. And Shalom unto the ones that endured his faith until the very end, until the time of Jacob's troubles, which are again the apostles and elders on down to the brothers and a few sisters. All right, so Shalom. So I want to do this, video on something this is something that we all heard of, but I kind of researched it to just a tad bit further, right? Now, we all know what the Declaration of, Independence is, right? It's, you just look into the name itself, right? Declaration, which is declaring, or pretty much the declaring of independence. First things first, we're in what, America? The United States, the US of A, as the brother Amawan says, right? Where's the independence? Because I don't see any, right? The reason of the Declaration of Independence being created in 1776 of July 4th, right, by Congress, actually, right? It shows a list here of justification for independence. The document explains the reasons why the colonies were separated from Great Britain following a long train of abuse and usurpations, right? The main point here, assertion of rights, is famously stated, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creators with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Right. So here's the thing. If everybody's so independent and so free and so happy, right? First off, it says, and the pursuit of happiness, meaning the chase of happiness. When you pursue something, that means to give chase onto. That's that American dream, right? That's where that American dream came from. It came from the Declaration of Independence. But if we're so free and have all these rights, then why is it the pursuit of happiness? Why isn't people happy already? Why isn't it already, given to us? That's number one. Number two, again, who in this society is free? Nobody's free. Nobody has the rights to really anything. Nobody has the rights to their own property, right? Nobody has the rights to their own life, right? You do one small thing and you end up in jail, or you get a ticket, right? You get a court summons. So everybody's got these type of rights. Shit, you got things like jury duty. So where is everybody in this category free? You still got to pay for water. You got to pay to breathe. You got to pay to die. Right? You got to pay for electricity. You got to pay for gas. You got to pay for, the heat or the AC in your house. Right? So again, where is everybody free? Because at this point, the ones that are free are the ones that's homeless. Right? And they not even free. So who's free? This is Isaiah 10:1. It says, woe to those, this is in the NIV version, woe to those who make unjust laws, to those who issue oppressive decrees, right? To deprive the poor of their rights and withhold justice from the oppressed of my people, right? Making widows their prey and robbing the fatherless, right? So what is that talking about, man? It's straight to the point. Again, that's depriving the poor of their rights. What happens here in America, right? The US of A. What happens here? Everybody is deprived of their quote unquote rights, Mind you, you got dumbasses that talk about I got rights when you don't even have rights in the first place when they getting dragged out by police. But in that case, you screaming that you got rights, you just look dumb. The police can easily take your shit away. They got laws where if a siege happened, they can take away your food. Right? They got laws where you got eminent domain, something I researched into before. They could take your whole house and turn that into a public store or whatever the hell they want. And there's nothing you can do about it. They'll tell you, get your things and get the fuck out. This is now, this house is now a CVS pharmacy. Simple as that. So, let me get this scripture because, again, the main point of this video, man, is this Declaration of Independence, something that they created to supposedly mean that everybody's free or everybody's independent, when clearly everybody's dependent. They made women feel independent when they're actually dependent on this man, right? Our people, everybody, even other nations that come over here, they're dependent on this man, right? Other nations and other countries, they depend on America, right? Because what? They feed off of this place. This place is the biggest import-export trade that exists, right? America has to pay them, but they feed off of this place. That's why when this place is destroyed, man, them other countries, man, they screwed too, because they got nothing else to feed off of, because this place is, to them, the rivers of flowing milk and honey, right? Where they get their riches and profit off of. So, this is Obadiah 1:7. It says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Right? So what is that talking about, man? When it says the men of thy confederacy, that's the military, right? That's them bringing us unto the border, which is bringing us unto slavery. Babylon the Great, America. Right? The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee, meaning they have even broke treaties against each other. Right? They broke many different treaties against each other, and that's why their laws that they create or their policies, even war laws, they can't even keep because they break them. Their Declaration of Independence that they made, they broke it long ago. Right? This place was built off of our bloodshed. I don't think that slavery is quite the opposite of freedom. So, what does it say right here? It says, and prevailed against thee, they that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee, meaning those that nourish off of them, the same ones laid a wound or a trap under them, meaning they just betrayed them. And that's something that this man always does, man. He's so much of a base man that he betrays himself, right? They can't even get along with their own nation, just like Israel can't even get along with themselves. But at least we don't create entire laws that we just break against each other. So I want to get this scripture. This is Proverbs 14:23. It says, in all labor there is profit, but the talk of the lips tendeth only to penury. Right? Meaning what? If there's actual full-on labor, and this is talking about anybody, right? You know, you're supposed to work with your hands. You're supposed to put in labor in your life, right? There is profit. But just the talk of the lips only leads to being poor, right? Or if not even just poor, but just bad times, evil, right? Something that's just not good, right? Quite the opposite of anything that's, virtuous. And that's what this man does, right? He don't put actual labor in the laws that he make or the policies or even the documentations that he creates, right? Even the executive orders. If it's something that's an executive order that's like 9066 where that's going against or even kicking out Japanese or something, yeah, they'll make sure they follow into that. But when it's something that benefits, the people of their society, they'll make sure to cut that off. They'll make sure that they don't put no labor in that. That's just them talking, right? That leads to them being poor. That leads to even everybody else in the society poor. That also precepts to that scripture, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. Right? These people out here are mourning because you got them just constantly talking, and you give Declaration of Independence. That's just them talking. That's not actual labor. That's not them putting actual, efforts into the policies that they made. Therefore, the people suffer. So by the Lord's will, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim HaKahakodash, and Shalom.